My girlfriend broke up with me. Now, while the correct thing to do would be to consider some reflection, since our method of communication amounted to basically I talk and she actively listens, she talks and cures my insomnia. No, there's no need for introspection. I know the reason. It's because she's ungrateful. Surely it couldn't be because she would work, cook, clean and do all the chores while my share of the house responsibilities was getting annoyed every time she would turn on the vacuum cleaner while I was gaming, cleaning under my desk, inconveniencing and interrupting my self-torturing sessions. Or because the time she wanted to talk about her work troubles, I would tell her to stop trauma dumping. You're killing the vibe. Even though she would always console me in the hardest of times, which was during lost streaks. Surely the reason couldn't be that I would call her every time she would hang out with her friends because I needed attention and because I was afraid they could do the one thing I couldn't do, which is having fun. It totally couldn't be that the only time I would strike up a conversation with her would be to make fun of how she looks at any given day. You know, like how every socially adjusted boyfriend would do, right? But the moment she would ever make fun of my height and lightly tease me, I would immediately accuse her of being insensitive and all forms of gaslighting, girl bossing, and it would always basically evolve into begging her to say it's not true. It totally couldn't be that my idea of fun was getting drunk on the weekends, at home, watching the thrilling experience of the movement of the stock market. My money goes down, my alcohol tolerance goes up. This is all, of course, the figment of my imagination in which I do have a girlfriend. It's stacked coping, 2 layers of cope collapsing on top of each other. Inception coping, psychosis. Coping can come from the least expected places. You may not be ready for it. For example, let's say you worked really hard today. You came off of work, you did a bunch of chores, you're dead tired. Surely that means you'll sleep immediately tonight, right? The best time to employ coping is when you've been talking all that shit and then your team loses. You know, I always wondered what happened to all the people that talked shit after their team loses. And then I thought about what I do when my team loses in general. Just as the game ends, I don't look at any interviews, immediately turn it off. I kind of just move on, don't open Twitter, don't open Reddit, don't open any social media because I know what I'm gonna see and I'm not gonna like getting cooked and just almost act as if it didn't happen while being heavily annoyed. And then as a last act of defiance, I put on some Love Island slop on the TV. But what hardened haters do, the people that actually talked all that shit, they go into hibernation and just wait. They don't talk. They don't say anything until the time comes when the enemy team loses and then they come out of the woodworks, wielding pitchforks, imbued with the power of jealousy, celebrating failures of people much more successful than them. Another really common but effective way to cope is to completely rewrite history about a person you know, a friend, partner. You know, you hang out, you make a lot of cherished memories together, and then suddenly, one day, they don't want to hang out with you anymore. And in that moment, it's sealed. It's obvious now. They are the second coming of Adolf, or worse, known war criminal, Kirby. And then you just start rewriting every single event, you know? Oh, that one time he didn't pet my dog. Must be an animal abuser. His favorite comic book hero is Electro. One time I adjusted my bangs by running my fingers through them, and he said, "Nah, bro, just try to style the wind," which did get the whole squad laughing. Clearly, I mean, that's an abuser, right? Or that one time I forgot to pay my share of the bill, and he called me out in front of everyone. It's not my fault. It's a learned behavior that I pretend some bills don't exist. What are you, a bank? The doomer's advice is to lower expectations. That way, you won't be surprised when someone turns out to be not a great person. But this perspective is totally not depressing when your first thought at seeing a young man help an old lady out across the street is, wow, so this is what the reverse DiCaprio looks like. Because any interaction between a man and a woman can't be friendly. Even if it's with your grandma, he must be trying to hit. Have you ever been excited for months about something and then it fails? After which you have to pretend, oh, it's fine. The time I spent with all the people I met, how good it felt, and all these experiences I made was the point, These are all the lessons I'll keep with me, the memories I hold deep in my heart. As if you weren't the night before daydreaming in your shower about the speech you would give, shitting on that one teacher in high school that told you wouldn't amount to anything. Turns out, they were right. Another really common way is the inverse, selectively choosing memories, like how you only remember 3 Christmas Eves you spend with your uncle laughing and having a great time, and for some reason, that's the only memories you have of him. Everything else seems kinda hazy. What do you do when someone rejects you? You go out drinking. What do you do when you get fired? You go out drinking. What do you do when both things happen in the same day? You go out of a bridge. Like my goat John Cena said, give up. Smoking is the only coping mechanism that other people think looks cool. It's like, wow, look at this guy. At the most minor inconvenience, he immediately pulls out the cigar. It's so cool how his boredom tolerance is so low, he has to raise his cancer chances to deal with it. Which, to be fair, you're still less likely to catch cancer while smoking than playing League. In fact, let me power scale the biggest cancer culprits. It goes cigarettes, playing League, mob boss cigars, junglers. Drugs, on the other hand, make you think you're cool, but no one else agrees. But I'm him. I don't need drugs for everyone to think I'm not cool. Drugs aren't cool, and I'm less cool. Staying in school? Not necessary. It's very possible to be less cool than a drug addict. Cue Asmongold. I know some homeless people with less aversion to showering. Coping about friends is a really common thing people deal with. I would say a lot of people deal with this. Your friend has money troubles, family troubles, Nazi troubles, and they tend to lash out, to treat people horribly, betray companies you started with, betray every single value they had. Sometimes people completely change. It's hard to accept that. And of course, the coping people have to put up is, they don't quite mean it, or there's not exactly what they said, or when they hear someone say they love a certain Austrian man, and they just glaze them, seemingly not disavowing or disagreeing even at all with anything they're saying, or how much they hate all women. It seems like everything bad about the United States is immigrants and women. And then you try for months and months, you and your friends and everyone around the person tries to bring them back. You know what this is like? This is like, I can save him, friend edition. I'll leave you with a non-joke. It's not disloyal to cut a friend who turned on every value they once had. They are the disloyal one. They betrayed themselves, the values they had, and the friends they made by becoming monstrous and filled with hate. The right thing to do for your sake and theirs is to cut them off. That's clear evidence that what they're doing is bad, and it's the best you can hope for if you want them to ever become sane again.